Welcome to another session of making music in the lab. Before we get into the lab and start conjuring up different sounds, we got to first look at three basic core principles in music production philosophy. So, the first thing is arranging. The second thing is assessing. The third thing is exporting. Now, arranging is when we take all these different sounds that we have, we listen to them, and we decide what we want to use. And even before that, it starts with you deciding what genre do you want to make. Are you looking at metal? Are you looking at bluegrass? Are you looking at country music? Are you looking at pop, disco, whatever it is? You gotta think about that first, and then you can go down and see, all right, these are the sounds I'm looking for. And once you get that, now you bring them into your DAW, you organize them, you label them, and boom, bam, you've arranged them. All right. So that's what we did last week. We arranged. Today we'll be looking at the second principle, which is assessing. Now, if arranging is when you think about making a cake, it's about putting all the ingredients. You read about what the ingredients you need when you're creating a cake. Are you creating a cake? Are you creating a savory meal? Are you creating a dessert? All right, you first need to know that. That's deciding your genre. Then you put your ingredients before you, and then once you have all the ingredients that you're looking for, you get to assessing. Assessing is now making sure that each of them tastes good before you put them in the mix, before you start mixing them up. And that is an important aspect of music production. It's called mixing, okay? So assessing is pretty much mixing. And it's not just a one-way thing. You just move all the way and you just keep going straight. You want to listen to what you've put in, and you want to, if it doesn't sound right, you can switch it up. You can copy and paste it and put it somewhere else. You can slice it, you can cut it, you can do whatever you want with it. But the beauty of it is if you put something that you don't really want, you can always use that famous shortcut, Command Z, or if you're using a Mac, no, that is Command Z. If you're using Windows, Control Z. All right, so make sure you have that memorized. That's your shortcut to undo any mistakes you've done. And if you want to redo it, Shift Command Z or Shift Control Z to put it back in. All right. So you're going to use that a lot. So that is assessing. That's pretty much what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. But before we get into it, the third principle, exporting. Exporting is now when you put the cake into the oven, you bake it up, you pull it out, and everyone's ready to have a piece. And once you've made your song, it's the same thing. You export it and you share it with the world. You distribute it. All right. All right. Enough of that. Let's get into some music. So get into your DAW. Click BandLab Sounds down here to open up your packs. I already have one pack listed over here for some disco. But if you don't know what genres you have, remember, click these sliders. These are your this is your filter. Go to genre and it shows you all these different genres and you can pick one. I already know I want some disco. And I saw this lady over here with some hyper disco. Sounds like a vibe. I'm going to use some of it. Now, quick thing, I know I've talked a lot, but we need to know this. We need to have 5 layers in order for our track to sound legit. The first one is the foundation. Those are our beats or your drums. They have different names. Know the different names. So the beats hold everything together. Then after the beats, you have your bass. Your bass gives everything a bit of a thump, and that's your first introduction of a musical note. All right, so you have your beats and your bass, and those two alone can hold a song without a doubt. But after that, you have your rhythm section, and your rhythm section brings in some chords. And those chords just help bring in some harmony, some strong harmony in your track. So that can be your keys, your synth, your guitar. It can be a piano. There are different words for it, and the more you tinker around with this, the more you'll be exposed to it. Then after your rhythm, you have lead. And lead is the main melody. It's when you have a singer, the singer has to be the loudest person. They have to pierce through the mix. Whatever you're mixing up, they gotta be a prominent sound that's in the mix. So you don't want to have your drums or your guitars louder than the singer or louder than the lead line. The lead line can also just be a guitar, it can be a flute, it can be whatever. Anything that's just holding a solid melody, okay? So those are our first 4: our beats, our bass, our rhythm, our melody or our lead. And then the 5th layer is just some sprinkles, some glitter. That's our effects. All right. So think of it as a cone. If you got a vanilla cone, you got the cone, which is the beats and the bass. Then you got the vanilla, which is the rhythm and the melody. And then you got the sprinkles, and that's the effects. So we're going to bring that in later. So those are our 5 layers. Keep them in mind. So starting off, I need some beats. Now notice these ones say 0.01. That means it's only 1 second long. That's what? That's too short. We can use that later on to add some artifacts. And artifacts just help bring in some spice. It's sounds that people aren't aware of, But if it wasn't there, your song would not be as interesting. So these are good for artifacts. This one's 0, 0. That's crazy. 1 second. All right, so what we need is something that's about 4 bars long. Or 2 bars. If it has 2 bars, then we can extend it. Like something like this. So let's start off with what I need. I need a beat. You can use drums. Sometimes your pack wouldn't say beats, it'll say drums. So let's see what we got here. All right, let's work with that. Actually, let's see. That's wait. Let's see this one. All right, let's work with this because this one's 4 bars. 4 bars long. Notice how 4 bars long means it ends just before the 5th bar starts. So I've had my beats. Let's look for some bass. All right, we got some bass over here. Let's see what this sounds like. All right, let's hear this one. Some synth bass. All right, let's work with that. Drag it in there. Make sure it's all the way at the first bar. Now, when you bring in your bass, your key gets set because that's your first introduction of a musical note. You bring in a musical note into the DAW. When I brought in my drums, my BPM was established. My tempo is characterized in BPM, so how many beats per minute. Okay, so when I brought in my drums, defined my BPM. When I brought in my bass, it defined my key. Now let's see what they sound like. Press space to play them. All right, that's fine, that's cool. Next thing, third layer, I need some rhythm. Let me look for some piano. Nothing. Let's change the wording. Let's look for some synth. Okay, I've got bass synth. Okay, let's try a different word. Let's try keys. All right, yep. This pack uses keys. Okay, sounds interesting. All right, I like that. I like that one. All right, let's put that there. All right, that's our third layer. Fourth layer, we need some lead. Let's see what they give us for when I type in lead. Okay, nothing. Let's change the wording. Let's look for some voice. Now, just in case you don't even know what to look for, remember you can press X and then the whole pack will be here. Then you can scroll through and just listen to anything you want. That's the bit of the manual way. But if you know what you're looking for and you know the wording and you know the synonyms, then just go ahead. So here I typed in voice. And let's see what they have here. Oh, that's a snapshot. I want something that's about 4 bars long. Let's try this one. Okay, that's interesting. It's not your typical melody, but we'll work with it. All right, so we have our first 4 layers. It's sounding pretty good. We're gonna bring in our 5th layer towards the end because we don't want to put the sprinkles before you put the ice cream in the cone. All right, so more philosophy. This is gonna be the last one, but it's important. So what you need to keep in mind is when you are a carpenter, I want you to think of yourself as a carpenter or a stonemason. You are given a block of log. You're given a log or you're given a stone. And you don't add to the stone. You actually chip away from the stone. So if you want to make something, let's say you want to make a kangaroo out of the stone, you got to chip away at it till you start to see a pouch and you start to see a tail. Then you start to see a thing that looks like a moose, but it's not a moose. It's a kangaroo. So you got to chip at the stone till you get what's in your mind, what you're visualizing. You don't add to it. Same thing for a carpenter. They stroke away, they chip away until they get the carving that they're looking for. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to carve and remove things in order to get something beautiful. But before we can start carving, let's have a solid block. So this is how I'm going to set up a solid block. I'm going to make sure I drag all of these to be 16 bars. So I'm going to lasso them. How do you lasso? A lasso is when you press down and then you extend and you get this rectangle that pulls everything together. You can think of it like a cowboy. A cowboy has his lasso, he throws it, phew, catches some cattle and pulls them back in, reels them in. So that's an easy way for me to extend all of these up until the 16th bar. I'll zoom out. How do I zoom out? I just pinch together. So when I pinch together, I have a big zoom out. When I want to zoom in, I just open my fingers on the trackpad and I zoom in. All right. So that's what you do on your trackpad or your mouse pad. So this is zooming in. This is zooming out. I know it's a bit confusing, but you'll get used to it once you start using it. And it's super valuable. So I wanted to draw these until my 16th bar. So make sure it's at the end of your 16th bar. I just want to see 4 beats per bar. So that means, so here 1, so that's 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, boom. So it actually starts over here where the number starts. That's your first beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it starts again. 1. All right. So just keep that in mind. So I want to see 4 beats in every bar, just like what you learned when you started the recorder. Alright, cool. So I have my solid block, my solid log, my solid stone. Let's start removing. I want my drums to start. The main thing you think about is you want to build the energy. It's like a story. You don't just tell everyone what happened. There was a dude named Alex. He went into the forest and got eaten by a goblin. Yeah, what else happened? So there was a friend called Alex, and he was headed to his friend's house. Now, people didn't really like Alex that much, but at least he still had a friend. So when he went to his friend's house, his friend said he'd be there in like about 15 minutes. So Alex decided to go to the back, and he saw a couple of trees. In fact, he didn't realize it was dense bush all the way down. He decided, hey, my friend's late. Let me just go on down. When he went down, things got dark real quick. Alex lost his way back, and he started to hear strange voices. Now, you see, all I'm doing is I'm just telling you the same thing. It's going to have the same ending. It's going to get eaten by a goblin, but I'm not telling you that at the beginning. And that's what I want to do with our music, okay? So let's start this off. I want to build my energy. I'm going to start with my drums, and then I get all these other things going. So let me go here to my 4th bar, and I'm going to slice. The shortcut for slice is the S button. Click S, and boom, you slice this track in half. If I move my playhead, you can see that slice over there. If I zoom in, right there. All right. Now, if I want to slice everything, I can just click and then hold shift and click all the other things I want to slice. Move my playhead to where I want to slice it, and then slice. And that should slice everything. That one wasn't sliced. All right, cool. So I'll delete that, press and backspace, click that, backspace. So now my drums are the only one in that first half. All right. Something important I forgot to do, you got to rename these. So this is my drums. Do that real quick. This is my bass, so I can finish arranging. This is my, this was keys. And then this is my vocals. Let me call them my lead. All right, on to the next thing. So now I want my synth bass to come for the next 4 bars. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end of the 8th bar, let me slice everything. Boom, slice. It doesn't slice this way. I don't know why it's not slicing the middle, but that's okay. So I'll delete my keys, delete my vocals. Listen to how it builds up. Bass. Alright, that's what we want. Alright, on to the next one. Now I want my keys to come in. They're coming in right there. So let me count 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. At the end of the 12th bar, let me slice off my lead. Boom. And then my lead comes in at the 13th bar for the next 4 bars. So each instrument comes in after 4 bars. If you look at it, that's what it looks like. It's layering. This is layered on top, this is layered on top, this is layered on top. So in the final bar, all of them are there. Let's listen to from the beginning. So press enter or return if you have a Mac. Then press spacebar to play. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, bring it in. That's my bass, that's my bass. All right, bring me some keys right now. All right. Where's my vocals? Come on, voice, right now. That's not really a proper vocal, but hey, it works. All right, cool. Now, we've layered all our things on top and the energy has been slightly building. It just makes it interesting. Now we got to add them little sparkles, that glitter. So what we're going to look for over here is some effects. FX. And now we can actually use a snapshot. It doesn't have to be 4 bars. In fact, if it was like a full bar, it might be a bit long. So just want to listen to it and see what it sounds like. What's a noise bomb? That's interesting. Let's see. What's this? Laser. Yeah, that could work. That's a little long. Let's see this one. That's 2 seconds. I like that one. Let's put that there. All right. I'm going to label that as effects. X, or F small x. All right, and I want this to be right. Now it's a little bit extended, so I'm going to actually shorten it a little bit by holding this and taking it there. Then I drag that forward. So you want to be creative with how you put in. Nice. All right. Now, if I want to loop it, this is my looping bar. And even over here, you'll see you have the option to loop, to switch it on or switch it off. So I'm going to extend it all the way to my 16th bar. Now, something that gets super annoying is when you have your loop activated, and let's say you want to play from your playhead. I put my playhead here at the 11th bar, and I want to play. Let me press play. It starts it from the beginning. It's so annoying. And what you just have to remember is switch off your loop, and then you can take your playhead wherever you want, and you're fine. All right, but if your loop is on, it will always start from the beginning. So let's go. Bring in the bass. Let's go. Sounds good. Nice, then it starts again. Perfect. Love how it sounds. All right, and that is pretty much it. We arranged, we chose the genre we wanted, we listened to the different sounds, we pulled them into our DAW, we labeled them right over here with all this stuff, and then we made them into a full block so that we actually have something to carve, not just small little planks of wood. We had a solid log that we could turn into something beautiful. We extended it until the 16th bar. We extended everything until the 16th bar. Then we cut off some things. We sliced things off, and that allowed us to layer. So we were able to create a layer of tracks that made our song more interesting. And then at the end, we brought in some sprinkles, some sparkles, some glitter, and we added some little magic. All right, just get those 5 foundational tracks down: your beats, your bass, your rhythm, your melody or your lead, and then bring in your effects. And if you can do that, you're going to have a solid track. It's been a lot of talking, but super important principles, because they're going to remain in every single song we do. So it's good that we've got through now, so that next time we're going to be deeper in the music, creating more stuff. So go ahead and do what I've done. Don't use the same pack that I've done. Be creative. Use something else that's there. Use something else that's interesting. Maybe something that's weird. Something that you really like. Just have fun with it. Don't just copy what I did, but copy the method. All right. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.